So if
my
you're,
glasses,
if you're
but
like you, and you've
sure I
been
can
coming here forever, you
see
would
enough.
think, oh, I can just go through here. And it's like, oh, no, there's a house here now. No, I'm just saying, you never know.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this.
All right, there's four of us.
Beautiful.
Should we start officially?
Let's do it.
Great. We barely make a quorum.
Sounds like
All right, let's start with reviewing the minutes from last month, which I wasn't here, so I'll stick with the titles.
what a welcome meeting that was.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it was.
We thought we'd heat up first.
It was a pretty long-winded meeting, I think it was, wasn't it?
This is quite the minute.
I do like the idea of grills at the Falls. That's really pretty sweet. The grills.
Said the same thing.
I like it. Gonna have to take an intermission here. Good Lord.
Any changes so far?
I'm trying to find the part about building the wall.
The scaffolding?
Yeah, I see that. It's the scaffold.
See this guy?
Yeah.
Getting all this down, Hank? Good work.
Yeah, this is why no one watches.
We made it through, huh? Oh, we're on the last page. We're winning.
Well, Don's project, I don't have much to say about Don's project. I mean,
You're not gonna pick on like typos or anything like that, are you?
You can. We're missing our exclamation point dissenter. Now that you've joined the board. Commission.
Yeah. The master.
what do you see there, Bill?
What's that?
What do you see?
It's just the middle of page 3. It's close. I think it's supposed to be closed. Property owners to be reduced resident taxes for 5 years. The word close doesn't
Oh, yeah.
fit properly. But if it's closed, I think it works. So just a T at the end. That comment on Melissa. Is there an alternative falls? I'm not sure that was how it said, but
Yeah,
I think it closed.
if it affects readability, it's definitely good to change.
Yeah, on the first page, I feel like Dick took a phrase right out of the National Wild and Scenic River Act that was phrased like limited use, and it says reduced use such areas. I feel like there was an actual phrase he used that came right out of the actual Wild and Scenic Rivers Act that kind of said it slightly differently. I'd be psyched if we could get that exactly what it was. I feel like because it's wild and scenic, but it's recreational. Is that the phrase that we?
Yes, that's, yeah,
Because of it, like his point was that the not mismanagement, but possible mismanagement is the fact that we're making it easier potentially to use, and really the use under the Wild and Scenic River Act is actually for limited use. And he's saying, well, if the problem we're having up there is there's too many people, then that's not considered limited use. It's potentially excessive use of an area that's being overrun, and you can't really call that limited use. And that was his phrase, and I'm not sure if this exactly.
I
I don't know if we have a copy of Dick's letter that may have that.
yeah, we could add that to his letter too.
Yeah,
We
that's
could
all.
do that.
I thought it was a good point for us to be able to stand on if we felt that people started to complain like, hey, you're limited use.
I guess we could shift that for later
Yeah.
discussion. Because I kind of think it doesn't limit use the way it's written, unless we chose to. Because it's the
Yeah,
we
we
could-
could have to look into it.
references better.
I make a motion to accept the minutes, if anybody.
That's
As amended, yeah.
As amended,
As amended.
with the D and maybe looking up that.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Accepted. All right.
Thank you. He proposed off, yeah, you can add me as a second.
Great. On to, I did a really quick agenda today. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm gonna try to keep it quick too, but, I guess we'll have the public comment as we go along. I don't know you, I'm sorry. I'm Tom, I'm the chairman.
Hi, I'm Judy Tyler.
Hi, Judy.
Judy Tyler,
Nice to meet you.
Brian
Nice to
Byrne.
meet you too.
And Mark. We spoke on the phone, I believe.
Yes,
Hello.
you did. Thank you very much for your
And
assistance.
we just met Bill Terry.
Yes, thank you
I
too.
remember you from past meetings when Larry was the,
A long time ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
thanks for coming back.
At least a year.
Was that Taylor or Tyler? Sorry.
Tyler.
Time, T-Y-L-E-R.
Okay, great.
Good for somebody who's keeping minutes.
Yes. Do you have a particular item that you're interested in? Because we could put that one first.
I'm most interested in Jackson Falls.
Okay.
Which I think is the second one on the
Sure,
agenda.
let's do that first.
I'm not prepared to speak today. I'm here to learn.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, we can do, let's do the falls first. I didn't put anything specific because it sounded like what I heard from the last meeting, we don't have any immediate action items on the fall, although there was lots of discussion about everything that's happening there. So we could reopen the discussion, or, so my understanding is on the wood chip front, we are asking for wood chips to be aged at Woodland Road, to be put out in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
The
Which
fences,
is, I have a little piece to add on to that, but let's
all right.
carry.
All right. The fence is there. The seedlings are there. The porta potty's there, and we're kind of watching and seeing how it all goes. It's kind of the gist I got, although. So those all kind of seem like they're just going to ride for the summer,
Mhm.
and we can continue to discuss them. Unless there's comment on those.
Yeah, has anyone received any, I received positive from like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Just either love the fence or love the concept that someone's trying to protect something, regardless if it's a fence or wood chips. They're just like that someone, you know, they look like we're caring and we're taking steps and we're moving sort of slowly, feeling it out. I didn't hear anything negative beyond just the stuff immediate.
Last month would have been the meeting to attend for full discussion on things that, you know,
Right.
came to fruition at the Falls. I don't think we have much, like Tom said, on the agenda per se, but
Yeah, I thought people would be either here to carry on the conversation, or we would all just had our ears filled with enough over the last month that we would be carrying on the discussion, but
I've heard several good comments about the fence. I've heard no negative comments about the fence.
yeah.
Same with me. I always try to be like, you should come to the meetings and talk about it too.
Right. Well, regarding the meeting of last month, it was just funny. It's not funny, but it was interesting that the topic came up like it did. You know, like we've been reaching out, looking for feedback. It's been on the agenda. It's gone to the annual meeting, you know, discussing the falls, and it seemed like I was surprised to see how many people wanted to really see it be limited use. I just didn't expect to hear that phrase come up from from a group of people where they actually felt like it's simple. The concept is we limit the number of people who can use it. And it's like, well, that's what we've been trying to say or a bunch of us have been trying to say for a long time.
there was a lot of heated agreement
Yeah,
in the last, I think
Yeah.
generally the feeling is overuse,
Yeah.
limit. I think people shouldn't have been too surprised about the fence, but I think,
or even the porta potty.
or even the porta
They wanted to
potties.
fight on it, but realized that it's the solution because there's a problem, you know, pre-existing problem. We're solving that right now because we can't manage the other one.
I don't think anyone is in love with the idea, speaking of the porta potty in particular, but it's something that we thought,
I'll say I don't love it either.
no, I don't think,
I'm the one most affected.
I don't think,
Fair enough.
I don't think everybody loves it, but I think we're gonna try it for the season and see what happens. I did use it the other day, by the way, just for the record.
Well done.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you have any thoughts, you can share whatever thoughts you have. We talked for quite a while, I know, but
Yeah, it sounded like, was there any, for that last meeting, and it sounded like it's hard because it's kind of, people react and come to meetings, but if we're to limit use, would it be continuing the discussion of parking versus like getting into the us and them of a way?
Parking, I think, was the first step. Just
Yeah.
take away any of the questionable parking.
Right,
Insulate it.
and part of the difficulty around the whole parking thing, and some folks say, Jackson residents only, and it's like, my God,
no, that won't, I think we determined that won't fly.
that won't fly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to hire 12 police people to marshal that.
Well, we're a quarter of the way there.
And how would you do that? I mean,
Yeah, I don't think we have to.
I mean, 60% of the people who are in the town don't have in-state licenses.
Right. Well, look at, Diana's Bath's a perfect example. I just was there actually twice in the last month maybe, and the signs are up. There's signs to let you know, like, you don't want to mess with us, we will fine you. And people are not parking where they shouldn't park.
Right.
In today's Union Leader, there's a really good article on this exact issue with the Wetland National Forest.
Yeah.
How they just, every trailhead is basically overrun on peak weekends.
Yeah.
If you go through Franconia Notch and you see Lafayette Campground, it's
insane.
Could be thousands of cars there, So they face the same thing. And they don't have any real answers either, but they try to limit it and, do what they can. So I think it's the web's just becoming, not just Jackson, but the whole area is becoming so popular.
Well,
So
what I observed the other day, we had a really hot day, and every potential spot for parking was filled along the falls. And what I wasn't happy in seeing is that the embankment in front of Dick's house, they were also parking up on literally parking up on the side like this to stay off the pavement, because they caught the idea you're not supposed to park on the pavement, and so they instead parked, because they can.
On Carter Notch or
Valley Cross.
No, not on Valley Cross, on Carter Notch.
I saw them across
Yeah.
on the other side of the street. I mean, maybe it was just for 10
And
minutes, I
also,
don't know.
yeah, crossway to Chris and Mary's house, which is not, in fact, before I was a resident of Jackson, I remember parking in front of Chris and Mary's house there, so, because it doesn't say you can't.
Right.
Yeah, the parking signs, the old feeder ones don't start until a little bit up more towards the golf course, which I assumed that used to be a problem once upon a time from the age of those signs.
Yeah.
Although I did notice the no parking signs on your side of the street have been replaced.
No, they have not.
They look new and shiny. A couple of them used to be.
Take a look at the one that's right in front of our house.
Yeah, it's still.
Well, you have to be careful about how you look for it, because there's a rectangle there. And it's kind of light.
Yeah, I think if you it's silly, it's just too vague. Just make it clear. You cannot park here.
Yeah, I think if the concern is around, 6 or 8 spots, and still, it's okay, people come, but find places where the parking's fine, and let people walk.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll spend less time. They'll spend less time there if they walk there, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, please only stay for 15 minutes, stay for 4 hours, but it'll stop a big cooler and a lot of other stuff. That means that people are going to be really hanging out using a toilet facility. So if you simplify it, or they get dropped off and the car drives down, whatever. I mean, and the other thing that would be nice about that is, wouldn't it be nice to drive up that part of the road and actually look at the falls and not
Right.
vehicles parked up on the side of the knoll, that drives me crazy.
Well,
That's silly.
personally, I think we're actively not allowing that because we want trees and under both the grow in,
Right.
you know, as the.
We're trying to actually eliminate the ability to see the falls.
So you have to-
Right, but I mean, you're looking at where the falls are.
Yes.
Not the
Yeah,
side
yeah,
of
you
the
can see
It's
suburban.
at the side of the car, yeah.
Right, that's, you know, on a 40-degree.
Yeah, well, it looks like the action items, oh, yeah, please.
Looking back, not that many decades ago, there was parallel parking there only. And we considered it, all of us considered it to be too busy. And the first development of the lower parking lot initially included having parking, as I vaguely recall, for something like 5 spaces. It was created, man-made, in order to accommodate the depth required.
Right.
And then I think it was expanded by another 5 or so spaces.
Like where the Wentworth Church parking, you mean?
No, it's
No,
referring to
I'm talking-
just a lower,
Just the
the
main
one
lot.
that's there.
Oh, okay.
Specifically referring
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
the
Where
wildcat
triple height is.
management plan and the specifically term they use, the upper
Yeah,
falls.
the lower end of the upper falls.
And more specifically, I'm speaking about what exists today, the largest of the parking lots, the lower one, head in. Other than that, in many, many, many decades, the only other 2 man-made introductions into the falls area were the 3 picnic tables and the bench, period. And that goes back many, many, more than 100 years, to the late 19th century. In addition, unlike a lot of people believe, the Wentworth Hall Solarian was out of sight. It was down below, as
Right.
you guys all know, the horizon level. And it was accessed 5 foot diagonally from Wentworth Hall. Those people visiting that area were never, even though they were visitors staying locally, they were never in the just defined Upper Falls area. So those expansions could have been made many years ago because we all felt there were too many people and we needed more parking, but we refrained from doing it for the fear of overuse.
Right.
And those were the people that wrote the first plan or were involved with it in the 1980s.
Which is the.
I'm now going back, of course, I'm going back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., when I'm talking about parallel parking only, just as a side note.
What's the plan from the 80s?
Pardon me?
What is the plan from the 80s that you just spoke of?
The plan for the 80s was a hard worked on plan for 2 years. And it was the basis for the later Wildcat Management Plan. It in fact is referenced in the Wildcat Management Plan and
Yeah, there's copies of it, I believe.
yeah, and I was actually down today asking to get copies of the map from that plan that are referred to and I wasn't able to find them.
Is that the
I'm looking for the
Alice
plan.
Becker?
I'm looking for the 1997, I think it is, plan that's called.
The one, is it in the Wild and Scenic plan or is it there, yeah?
It's referred to in there, the name of it is the 1985 River Conservation Plan.
We can look in our filing cabinets.
It was started in 1983,
Yeah.
completed in 1985.
So that parking lot expansion was a part of that plan in the 80s?
No, I'm sorry if I'm being confusing about that. No, I was just giving a broad brushstroke background about
I was just wondering if-
people's lack of falls development, even though there were people pressures or believed to be people pressures at that time. But
It's all right.
just
Yeah.
trying to put it in a
Mhm.
historical perspective, because all that parking hasn't always been there.
Right.
And there have been dramatic, with the sudden escalation of crowds in 2016 and predicted to be in 2017. I'm there a lot. I love the falls. I'm there at different times of day, etc. And
Has it been a
I'm seeing many, many, many firsts.
sudden escalation? I think
Yes.
the escalation has
The
been...
results, I can cite many first experiences in 16 and already in 17 that I've never witnessed before. One of them, of course, is 5 cars parked in front of Dick's,
Mhm.
4 or 5 people exiting each car, as well as, usually lately, there are 2 dogs. And then walking onto Dick's, listed plants well into his private property
Right.
to use the porta potty.
Well, this is exactly the issue we face.
I know. I agree. It's a people problem. Parking's just a symptom, it's a people problem.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
It's too many,
yes, and ultimately it's an erosion problem. And,
ultimately.
yeah, I tend to, an erosion problem. I mean, people are definitely the cause, but if we had no people there, we wouldn't be talking about a lot of this.
I can cite new erosion also from 16.
Yeah,
But I am, honestly, I want to be here to hear.
yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
The other piece around erosion is, as you know, we had a fantastic storm a couple of weeks back. And the flow of the falls, I wasn't here to see the Irene thing, but people who were taking video said that the flow was, they'd not seen anything like it since Irene.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Yeah,
And there was actually flow of the river, so that you could not access, you couldn't even walk through the water to get to the bench.
yes. Yeah, it was the same way.
It was
very
quite
similar.
quite unusual. It's the most I've seen, and the water went in, not just where the rock is, but it went 8 to 10 feet in where the dirt is, where we've been trying to plant some things. We have exposed roots, and it washed out some of our plantings that we've done. So I mean, that's water. That's what it's supposed to do. It causes erosion. And it's not for just foot traffic.
Well,
I
it's
understand
really-
we have our issues with the one, but the other is,
The road doesn't help either.
Yeah. I walked the falls during that, and it looked just like Irene to me. Our path, our wood chip path, was entirely above high water,
which was good.
which was good. You know, so our footpath seems to be in an okay spot. I mean, for me, the big risk is still just uphill of the bench,
Yeah.
where the water cuts the bench off and it actually kind of eddies in the corner there, and there's maybe
Keeps digging
25
away.
feet of
Mhm.
dirt in between the river, the high water, and the road where the fence is. So that's the part that I'm ultimately worried will just go.
Yeah.
And that's where a couple of trees came down in Irene, which started this whole process of
Right.
getting this, the soil scientist in
Mhm.
and doing all of these steps.
And at that point, they talked about trying to, it's that complicated concept of maybe plunking some rocks in some places, and I don't think they could pull it off. They're trying to protect
Yeah.
that area that the water eddies in, and it's just digging, and digging.
Yeah. So it looks like we can just try to work on parking. I don't know if we want to really get to action items with only the 4 of us, but I did think we could probably try to get an overflow sign. Ski touring had allowed us to post if we wanted to that people could park in their lot on Valley Cross Road,
Mm.
and we don't have a sign up to indicate that. So I think we could ask Pat to buy one of those and just stick it there in the corner and essentially say, yes.
No, I'm sorry.
No, come right ahead.
I'm still in a learning curve here,
Mhm.
and I have just returned, so I apologize for that. Because a lot of the damages I'm witnessing
Mhm.
are being caused by too many people.
Mhm.
And we're living in an era of quick communication. Once something's out there, it's hard to get it back again.
Mhm.
I am gravely concerned about directing more people to more parking areas, in addition to what we already have, because, and I prefer not to get into citing them today, but we have new safety issues going on in the river because of the overpopulation, again, that I've never witnessed before. And I'm trying very hard to organize my thoughts
Mhm.
about all of this.
What are the safety issues? I mean, and then this is where it gets gray, because to me, the Conservation Commission isn't the safety board for the town. It's, we're more concerned about the erosion, but we
Right.
are
Right,
the voice that kind of looks out for it, but it's,
but all the extra feet, example, porta potty area. I love every itty bitty original historic firm, and the little teeny tiny curly ones at the top of the
Yeah.
most historic area are some of my favorites. And when the porta potty was placed, I observed that it was in an area of still somewhat authentic original vegetation, in a contemplative, quiet, very high quality experience. Quiet. The majority of people being at the other end.
Mhm.
I also am witnessing, in just the last 2 weeks, a number of people pulling in to illegally park to use the porta potty, and also people in the head-on parking lot in just 1 week's period of time, hard packing a path, exposing new routes
hard packing a path from where to where?
from the
The head-in parking.
head-in parking,
There's two of those. The one on the corner or the
the
main?
top head-in parking that
Mhm.
accommodates somewhere to 5 to 6 cars.
Mhm.
Through the
technically.
vegetation directly to the porta potty, and then others using that area as their
Right.
origination point and spending more time there, sitting on the rocks that had been brought in to
Yeah.
deter parking, etc. So that whole area now already is started because, again, the enormous crowds means enormous footprints and very, very quick destruction. And it's already looking tired up there.
Yeah. I
In
did-
just 1 week's time between when the porta potty was placed and the return.
Mhm.
And
No.
And that, and this, I think,
I'm
you'll-
witnessing that.
yes, and I think you'll see a difference here in that area we've discussed over and over. Some people didn't want foot traffic there, and others have, with or without the porta potty from that corner lot, because there's both the staircase that takes you diagonally to the falls, and you can also cut through that zone to the larger staircase.
Yeah, I am aware. Some of the foot traffic through there was deterred in the past precisely because it was the least accessible avenue to get down into the falls. And there were much, much easier accesses available. So the fact that it was steep and slippery resulted in many visitors taking another route around, specifically not the steep one from Valley Crossroads, but down, just not very far down from there. Do you have a map that you have a basic landscape map that you use in meetings like this to verify what's still vegetation existing on graph paper that's accurate, so you can cite the historically remaining areas and
Well,
what's been.
We have Alice Pepper's map, which shows all the plants, trees, and rocks at the time she drew it, which was, I want to say, mid-'80s. That's kind of,
Where would is that on file? You know,
We have
if
it.
that's what you're going by?
I would assume it's in the filing cabinets,
Yeah.
but I mean, we don't do a regular vegetation update tree by tree like that. You know, we do work off of our general plan for the access to the falls has been over the last 3 years or longer as we've been working on this is to, at the main lot, have the 3 main access points from the large
I
lot.
understand that.
And then another one from the handicap parking
I
area.
understand.
And then the one on the corner and then the steep one.
I understand that. I asked for a number of reasons, but it just facilitates discussion and gets more specific, which is very helpful, rather than the generalities of trying to figure out which spot someone's referring to. I don't know if it's possible. I'd love to, at least
Yeah.
see a copy of that plan.
Sure. I mean, we could go look for Alice's, and the other one we can print out. It's
We agree.
I know.
We're in agreement.
I know.
Yeah, it would be exceptionally useful, I think, to identify what parking spaces we ideally would like to retain.
Yes.
As for example, the handicap parking is a specific one. The head-in parking in the lower part of the upper falls. And when we put together the one that was on the corner, it was specified for, I believe, only 4 spaces,
Right.
and 8 cars try to park in the 4 spaces, which is exactly, I think, the point that Judy's making, that if you don't specify what you want to have happen in a particular area, people are going to make it up. Because they can, and to the point where we have vehicles parking in ways that they shouldn't, under any circumstance.
Sounds like we need those no parking signs that they have up on Dundee now.
yeah,
Bright
exactly.
yellow ones, just,
There's no question you're
Right.
gonna park at Doublehead parking lot there. You're not
Exactly.
parking there anymore.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
it's a little ambiguous or not obvious at all.
Again, specific. I know you mounted 4 new signs on Valley Crossroads.
And they're terrible. And we're
One of the
referencing-
4 is not on a signpost, by the way. It's nailed to one of the cathedral historic trees. I thought they probably were clear to mean no parking, but there are probably 4 or 5 different no parking communications up there.
Right.
And
I don't think it
so-
is, I don't think it is clear up there.
No, it's not clear at
I
all.
No.
witnessed
Yeah.
people continuing to park on Valley Crossroads, especially to use the porta potty, etc. And I was told by the police that as long as they were not on the pavement, it was legal. And I asked them if they could check with the selectmen to verify that. It has been done. It now is understood that there's no parking. However, I agree 100%. Signs are not being read. No parking says no parking, clear and simply. And there's no ambiguity whatsoever to say, well, down there it said no parking on pavement, over there it
Right.
says
Sure.
everything's okay.
Yeah,
The other day I saw a car wedge up onto what you just described between 2 other parallel parked cars, head in,
right.
by justifying that
it's-
there was
it's-
head in parking up above. No parking is no parking, clarity of
Right.
communication.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right, the idea that there's too many signs, well, there's too many signs trying to describe a simple concept. No
Absolutely.
I think we
parking.
even determined a meeting or two ago that the no parking between signs was not effective
If
at
it was
all.
too, you couldn't see the other side.
Right, you can't see
One's
the
on
signs.
one side of the street, and it's in the minutes here. The one was on one side of the street, and the other one's on the opposite side of the other side of the street.
Right,
So it's like, you're supposed to get that from,
right.
So I have a good relationship with Pat. I can ask him to take down those signs and put up, if we can determine where.
But, I mean,
Well,
I
if it's not clear, then we have to make it clear.
yeah, I also think if we just have, I mean, if we have more enforcement, it could help also.
We haven't had enforcement
It's
in
never
years.
worked.
It really
It
hasn't.
won't
it
happen.
will,
And I mean, what would be a clear sign? Because I feel like we as a board, this spring came up with what we thought was clear. Pat straight out said, what you guys came up with makes no sense to me personally. This is my idea, which is what he put up. You know, and
and
we're
what he
saying,
put up, but what he put up, it doesn't make sense to anybody.
Right.
but I guess my larger point is,
I mean, if it was
regardless,
executed properly, it would have made sense, but it's not executed properly. He got two signs that point this way, and so in order to make them work,
Yeah, they-
he had to post them on opposite sides of the street to have arrows point one at the other.
no, they both face the street and they point at each other, I think, personally.
When you do a no parking between two signs, they're supposed to be on the same side of the street.
They
Well,
are.
they are. There's,
They are.
there's two on one side and two on the other
There's
side.
one, as soon as you get to the corner, it says no parking,
Yeah,
and
just
arrow
go
towards
south.
them. There's two signs on both sides,
Right.
Well,
and they point
maybe they
But-
corrected that.
Can we
but-
stop the discussion of this for a second? My larger point is, regardless of our personal opinion of the signs, I think people will still try to park there. And I don't know if,
But look, go on Dundee Road, where whoever it might have been said, I'm sick of this happening.
and then, I mean, this, I
Maybe
guess, this
well,
is
they-
where we go round and round.
They made
but
it so you know.
Everyone
not
also
parking.
complains that they're ugly and that, you know, our
cares?
specific reaction to the falls has always been this
So is it.
spectrum of, some people view the falls as a wilderness experience and others or, you know, accept it as it's a city park on a street, you're 10 feet from a road, and we have this like divergence of opinions of what Jackson Falls is, what it stands for, and who uses it. So we get complaints from both ends of the spectrums that there's too many signs, but there's also not enough direction. You know, like I feel like we get both ends of it. So the yellow, the bright yellow signs, I feel like would get the same react. You know, like would get a screaming reaction in the same way
Well,
that
you
the
could
fences have.
choose, you could choose not to use signs at all and dump, 2-ton rocks in
Right.
each place so that if they will not disturb anybody plowing and they appear to be natural, they will not be signs, they will not affect anybody's view of the falls. And by the way, you won't be able to park there either.
Right, and you still have to have a sign that says no parking on pavement, because they'll just approach as close as they can to the rock, because they can't be too close to the road, they can't plow. So it's gonna have to be set off just enough, which is now no parking on pavement.
And
I
I think what you might find is as long as they're more than 4 feet off the road, that is gonna be acceptable.
Yeah,
Because they do it with a guardrail, and the guardrail's only 4 feet off the road.
yeah, but they use their wind plow and the guardrail as a friendly reminder.
Right.
A rock is substantially different. I mean, I don't know, we've all lived places where you're not allowed to do things. I had a reservoir behind my house. It was well signed. Guess what? No one didn't know what they were or weren't allowed to do because there were signs there. And you read the sign, you said, oh, that means no swimming. And look, you go over here, it's no swimming. You didn't question it, it was just obvious. Was it the prettiest thing, a beautiful lake? No. But they didn't want people swimming there. People swam there illegally, but everybody knew that what you were doing was wrong.
Right.
And at the end of both things where you weren't supposed to park, there were signs there, and you didn't park there because you knew that
Yeah.
your car wouldn't be there when you came back.
Right.
Clearly stated, you park here, your car will be
Yeah, but
towed.
right now it says no parking on pavement, so if you park on the dirt, you're good.
It's just crazy. And we're having
We're
this
telling
conversation
them
every
to
month.
do that, we're telling them to create a road,
Right,
we're telling them, so we're at fault.
I was just over in Sandwich, and they had the same thing, no parking on pavement, and the entire side, on both sides of the road, was just jam-packed with cars, and I was like, that's almost worse you must hate that just as much. You just just say what you don't want them to do. You don't want them parking there because they can't park there. It's just not safe. But the no parking on pavement thing, so everybody's, it's like,
Yeah.
There is a simple white with red letters, I believe, no parking sign there already that has been shown to be quite effective in a different spot. So just the simple, ordinary, regular sign that people are familiar with seeing, that is the least obtrusive, hopefully, probably would do the job, is my guess. And just to correct any misunderstanding here, the time I spend in the falls, in various times of the day, include tremendous amounts of time in the water, down in the falls. It's one of the things that another local friend of mine and I enjoy doing, interacting with the visitors, learning where they came from, why they're there, where they're staying, all those kinds of things. And that's gone on for my entire life.
That's really, sounds
And
great.
for every generation of my family, going back to probably 1910. So we love the falls, and it's much more than what I just spoke about earlier on. I wouldn't want to leave the impression that my caring about the falls is just simply because I want to walk to the cathedral trees.
Oh, no. I didn't mean it to reflect on you individually, but I think in general,
I hope
the
I'm
comments
speaking to a
I've,
much broader
yeah.
situation than that.
I think people that have come to meetings over the last years, we have this spectrum from the falls being viewed strictly, to kind of put it shortly, like from a swimming area to, something more that you would expect to find at the end of a 5-mile hike is kind of I would say the continuum that residents have of the falls and what they expect to find there. And I find that's the hardest part, is to manage to a divergent series of expectations.
Yeah, I should say thank you, by the way. I never preambled, but I think I got it right away.
I mean-
But thank you for all the efforts that everybody's continued to make, and the huge amounts of hours and the giving of your personal time.
would a simple solution be for a couple of those spots? Just putting up a couple JPD cones? Just set up a couple cones in a couple of those really
I think,
sensitive areas and just see if people park next to them.
yeah.
Probably won't.
What I kind of see as where we would go is only allowing parking in essentially the 3 lots and having no parallel parking anywhere. Still having maybe better signage, getting back to the idea of a kiosk of, if we want to, not to encourage further use, but to move the existing
Direct,
use to
right.
other places, is to use that Jackson lot, the Jackson Ski Touring lot, to use the parking in the village, to use this underused lot over here, like if people wanted to walk from there to there, that kind of thing, because I feel like if we begin to, the questions we will get are if we begin to close off more parallel parking, kind of what happens to the people. And it's like, yes, we want some of them to go away, but some of them conceivably would park further away and walk or drop off or whatever, that kind of thing. So those are kind of the broad strokes that I would see there.
I thought we got rid of all the parallel. I feel like every meeting, I feel like we got rid of the parallel parking.
But it's not on Carter Notch Road, it's still allowed, so it's essentially
And I just feel like
6 to 8 spots
Right.
in between the 3 allowed spots.
I think
Altogether.
that's got to go.
But it is dangerous, I guess, is the other side of it.
Yeah.
It just is. It's difficult to work around there.
Cemetery.
Before we move away from the conversations around the parking, this year, the surface, and there was some comment around paving potentially that thing for
Upper lower lot.
yeah, either or, but obviously I'm not in favor of that, but somebody does need to maintain the surface, and right now, it's dangerous to park. It is dangerous to park in the parking areas, because we've lost material. Somebody needs to go back and grade it.
I can contact Pat, and we would have to pick up, if he has to buy additional materials, the Conservation Commission would have to pick up the materials, and he generally would supply the labor. So if he has materials on hand, there's no fee if he has to go and buy.
It needs to be done, and it needs to be done like last week.
Yeah, it was that same storm, you know, when I pulled over in the
Yeah.
middle of the rainstorm, that lower part of the lot
Yeah.
and the upper one.
Well, and in terms of paving it, it doesn't have to be, you know, there's alternatives to asphalt. You can do it permeable, there's a whole bunch
Yeah,
of.
yeah, when
modern
it's
ways of
paving though, they
dealing.
usually need
Yeah, they're thinking asphalt. but we could-
asphalt, but I appreciate there are other materials that are a lot more durable than dirt.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'll contact Pat about getting more dirt filled in there, maybe looking at the riprap and everything.
I could talk to him about no parking signs.
Yeah,
Sure, sounds good.
Happily,
be scrappy.
I have that right into the bakery a lot.
And maybe we'll shoot for next month to begin, if there's more of us, to kind of bring another set of ideas, which would specifically be no parking on Carter Notch Road to the select board. Before, you know, we'd have to go through that process again, essentially, to kind of
Yeah,
piecemeal
and
it.
they'll have to do something in front of Dick's too, because that's just gonna
Yeah.
get,
Well, those are the signs that I'm looking for.
yeah.
The,
Uh,
just the straight up no parking.
Right, and
Yeah, I mean, I've got one in front of my house, and between that and the fact that if you try to park on that side of the street, you will not get your car out of
Right.
there. You'll get it in, but you won't get it out. I don't care what kind of vehicle you have.
right,
It's a deterrent.
yeah, it works.
It works.
Yeah,
All right,
Do you wanna,
let's wrap up the falls.
Okay.
We'll have those two things. We'll get some more dirt, or maybe get some signs, or,
Yeah.
on to Prospect Farm. So the big picture there is, Don Johnson, who was here last month, said to produce a printable 8.5 by 11 map. They would charge us $250 to develop it and scale it down and work with us to arrange it however we want to do.
great.
So does anyone want to propose that? If you think,
Oppose it?
no, propose.
Oh,
If
propose.
I would personally favor it, but if we thought.
I'll propose.
All right, and
That we
seconds?
do
I
that.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, I will tell them to go ahead and do that. Margaret sent out the drafts of the interpretive signs. So
I propose that we accept the draft of the interpretive sign.
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor? Great.
Aye.
Way to go, Margaret. Have you heard from her yet?
Yes, yeah,
Great.
yeah, I'll update you afterwards. And we threw out the April Fall picnic. I don't know if there, what the discussion was on the last time. So how will
we're gonna have you organize the entire thing.
All right, great. Late September, here we go. Check.
It's gonna be at Bill's house.
I think the only trick with that would be to make sure that we get the mowing done in early September, if we're gonna shoot for like some kind of community event in late September.
Right.
Which would mean we would just need to ask to have it mowed again and go through the normal dance of, we only pick up the cost now of the mowing at Prospect Farm if the road agent runs out of money in his mowing line item.
Is that how that works though?
Yes, so that's how it goes from henceforth. That's one of Larry's gifts to us, as he fought for that one.
Oh, so we don't pay for it.
We don't pay for it out of our $2,000 annual budget. So it used, the mowing used to be $1,600 out of our $2,000 budget.
Wow.
And Larry found that there was an underutilized mowing item in the general like town upkeep item. So the current situation is that line item from the, I believe it's in the road agents, but it could be like in the baseball, wherever it's buried in the other parts of the town budget. That pays for the mowing also at Prospect Farm, unless that is depleted, at which point then the Conservation Commission has to kick in again.
Thank you, Larry.
I like that.
All right, that's what I've got for Prospect Farm.
Okay, awesome.
And Gray's Inn, Brian 2 months ago threw out the idea of a new loop up there. I don't know if there's any further.
We didn't get
thought
to
on
go
that.
out because our meeting went so late last week,
Right.
last month.
And I saw you put up the signs.
Yes, I did manage to find the Mystery House loop, and I saw 4 of the 6 interpretive signs up there. I don't know if I missed the first 2.
There's one immediately from this parking lot.
Yeah, it's like,
And
I think it's
then
like
there's another one just off to the right from the little
before the
road
first
pathway.
page.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I haven't been back to see if Pat had also said, after you mowed it that first time, Pat had said that they had to pick up the mowing of that.
They have been mowing it.
Great. try to keep the.
He asked me if we were doing knotweed spraying down there. I declined, but I didn't run it by anybody, but I didn't think we really.
I think it would be whatever the commission decides we want to do. I mean, our general approach for the last 2 years has been, there's too much knotweed, we don't know what to do about it. So I think, personally, it's like, I'm not opposed to it, but I would follow the will of the 7 board members. And I know that he did say, when I spoke to him a month ago, that the town is going to be pursuing spraying again. So it would come in, they would get like, the certified contractor to come in, and he's trying to just line up everyone who wants it at one time.
Okay, because, we have another outbreak of knotweed up on the lower falls, just above the pink house there. And it's substantial.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go, as you're driving down the street, there's one
Yeah.
right on the side of the road that's now about 10 feet tall.
These types of floods that we've been getting, those are the carriers of stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's particularly bad back here because you can see the huge patch that washes downstream.
Yeah.
The rest of it. Well, there's even the bigger one further upstream.
Yeah.
I know. Well, Pam usually has an opinion on spraying, I feel like.
Well,
But-
we can take, Bob Thompson has pretty strong opinions one way, and then Ian Cantac has strong opinions the other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're both really intelligent people who know what they're doing, and their opinions diverge.
Yeah, I'm personally fine with it, but willing to.
We sprayed on our property twice, and I have to tell you, it got rid of what we sprayed,
Yeah.
including a few other things, but
All right. So we'll leave those all for now. We'll hear more about when spraying. Something new. Wetland, I'm going to skip to wetland permits. So there's one right here that looks like it's more of a notification. So that's
up on the Switchback Road.
Yes. So we have a standing subcommittee for wetland applications, which, gosh, who is it right now?
Well, we lost the third
We lost the
chief.
third.
You all right, right?
Yeah, you had it, Duffy.
Would you like to join the standing wetlands subcommittee?
Sure, why not?
I generally got out of it because I'm often not reachable Monday to Friday during work hours, which is,
So do we have to go look at that site, right?
it appears like we don't.
Oh,
Looking at this, it looks to me that it's of a small enough, whatever, that we're just being notified. And it's been approved by DES without any sign.
gotcha.
So normally if our board can expedite wetland permits, it's DES that approves them, but we can make the difference between like a month-long delay and an immediate approval.
Okay.
So usually someone would approach the board and say, usually it's a culvert for a driveway. It would be the 3 of you go and look at the culvert and be like, wow, it looks like that's pretty straightforward, sign off on the expedited permit, and DES
Where
can
is it
then
on Switch?
do what they need to do more speedily. And if you don't like it, you don't sign off, and they have to do it more
It's
thoroughly.
12 X.
Yeah. I don't
The other one that I didn't bring is
Switchback
the
Way.
Forest Service notified us that they're doing some culvert work on Slippery Brook Road. I'm
So
sorry.
what was that last thing you said?
The Forest Service notified us in a similar thing to this, that they are replacing a culvert on what I believe is Slippery Brook Road, when Town Hall Road switches into the Forest Service Road. That's a little tiny chunk of Jackson right there.
Yeah.
And the very first culvert, the Forest Service is replacing.
They already did that.
Great.
It's done.
They sent us the notification right after the last meeting
Yep.
that it's happening. And it was a situation where they didn't need approval, they just,
Yeah.
needed to notify.
The only reason I know that is because I went up to Hike Mountain Pond one day and the road was closed.
Yeah.
So, but it's done now.
Yeah, well, now it's entered into the public record that we've been notified of the 2 wetland permits. And
So done.
onto the conservation easements. Are you familiar with our conservation easement monitoring program?
Not really.
Well, we'll start you on 7.
So the town of Jackson owns conservation easements on various properties throughout town, where, the landowner still.
I've heard you guys talk about it, but I've not
And we own the conservation development rights essentially. And 2 of them, I believe, the town owns outright, and the other 5, the town owns the conservation easement, but Spiniff is, I always forget the term, they're the backup.
Yeah, there's.
So if we fall down as a board and we don't perform an annual review of what we're supposed to make sure that they're not building homes on the conservation easement, Spinoff can kick us out and take over that role. And in order to make sure that we're doing that, we have to fill out a report every year and submit it to Spinoff, which we do online for the last 2 years. And I looked at what we did last year, and the easements that we own and Spinoff, which we have to also submit to Spinoff, are the Rockwell Estate, which is the Tin Mountain property. And Mike normally does that. The Highland and Burgess properties, which Brian normally does. The Peppers, their fields down by the river where some ski touring is. I did that last year. And then the Tilney's farm on Carter Notch Road. Pam and Dave have switched back and forth on that. So that's something you can pick up if you're interested. And really all we do is call, or last year we sent out letters. We could do that again if we're interested, to the landowner saying, hey, you're going to be contacted by phone. And then we go and fill out the form on Spinoff's website, and I can send the information on how to log in. And it's really basically you're saying, like, did they build illegally on the conservation easement? And the other two are Lori Gabriel's property. Pam did that last year, and I believe the Wildcat Trust one, is that the one that you
Carter
did?
Notch, yeah.
So
Yeah, I
those are
walked it.
yeah, so those are the other two that we do. And we just, for Spinoff and in general, we just have to have them done by the end of the year.
And so like the, I don't know which one was I gonna say, the Hayes Farm, since that's Saco Valley,
Yes.
Upper Saco, we don't have to do anything.
Correct. Yep. Everything that's Upper Saco Valley Land Trust, they do all the monitoring themselves. So I can give you the login information.
Okay.
Can you send that out to all of us again?
Yes. I
That
will.
would be a good thing.
I'll email it to everyone. And then you can go, once you log on, you can actually see the form. And
Okay.
you can see what information they're looking for. And it's basically, you know, like, did you walk the property? Did you view the property? Did you talk to the landowner? You know,
I'm familiar with what the requirements
Yeah.
are, but yeah, okay.
That's pretty straightforward. And we just need to do it by the end of the year. Usually if we start now, we'll do it by November.
Good idea. Otherwise, you could get the snowshoes out.
Yes.
Right.
Great. Anything else that wasn't on the agenda?
Did you have something to say about the wood chips?
Well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
my only thing about the wood chips is if they're on Balloon Road, how we get them then? I mean, as long as, I understand how we get them, so.
I don't get it. I get it.
Are we gonna make an arrangement with Pat and just say, hey, we'd like to get them at this time, and he can say, all right, because they don't go up there on a
Yeah.
regular basis where they have the machine that scoops it and puts it in the truck, it's usually
Yes.
dumping.
I had the same question.
Okay.
I had the same question, since we don't want any machinery. I can ask Pat if he'd be
Yeah.
willing to do that.
And if not, is there, I mean, what about the old
down there.
building thing? We don't need a massive pile, I'm just throwing it out there, it's,
Yep.
the end of Balloon Road is not
Not the best.
probably
place
the
to
best
go.
spot for
Yeah.
everybody in, but it's a spot. It just, I didn't reply to it because that's kind of like trying to play it out in my head, like, end of Balloon Road, that's our,
Yeah, it's,
That's
that's
the best.
like 3 miles away.
You have any
yeah.
extra space on your property, you can just dump them there.
Well, felt like I almost was gonna ask somebody if she would offer a more reasonable spot. I just-
Yeah. I mean, because the other thing I thought of is, because there are the piles of wood chips that are already there, which we collectively chose not to use because of the threat of not weeding them, because they were the power line cutting wood chips.
Yeah,
So I don't know if we want our wood chips also sitting next to
Right.
to not weed wood chips.
yeah, yeah.
If we could somehow segregate them, so we don't introduce
Yeah.
knotweed to the falls.
So we don't have to really jump, I mean,
It's true, we don't. As long as
if
they're
it really
aged
came down to
for-
aged ones, we
we could also buy wood chips.
could get some too. And
Yeah.
I'd get a massive pile, I could add to my pile and just say, this would be for the Conservation Commission. I wasn't at a point where I felt like I could offer that, and I'm not sure if I can. So I just wanted to have that conversation with you. Did you guys think about like how those are, is that really reasonable? We're gonna ask them to drive a machine out there and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
scoop them up,
Right.
you know? But they're out there, and obviously the machine goes out there, and if you could time it in such a way where he says, hey,
Yeah.
I'll be out there and whatever.
I can check in with that
There you
too.
go. The only other thing that I thought that we didn't talk on, but is in, well, you weren't here for it, was the tire tracks on the Marshbrook Trail. going through the Ballantyne property and then accessing the Prospect Farm property. I was up there on a run, and it looked like someone had just driven right up Marshbrook Trail. And it just seems,
Which does seem, I guess, I mean, really what we couldn't tell the police to tell the landowner, because it's not town property, and it
Right.
connects to national forest land, not town land. Because
Right.
there's a gate that would keep you from coming back onto the town
Right.
in that direction.
yeah.
That'd be a
seems-
hard road to drive up.
No. There's a bunch of them. Someone just drove the entire East Pasture Loop too.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people in the
Wow.
springtime before the gates are closed,
Yeah.
if the snow melt's trying to get up
It's
there.
quite a drive.
And once you start, my feeling is it's not even like, all right, so maybe someone's reasonable and understands the timing of when and when not to, but for most people, once you see that tire track, that's your, if you're looking for it, that's like the invite. You're like, oh, see, you can get up there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it just,
Well, and
Yes.
especially ATV week,
Yeah.
we had the other
yeah, we won't
weeks
get that
back. It's
far.
like, yeah, okay, there must have been
Yeah, it would be
probably
good.
5,000 of them up here.
Generally, there's no motorized recreation on those, and it's private land or private and federal land. Which
Yeah.
definitively does not allow motorized recreation.
Yeah, it's just a bummer when you go to a beautiful place and you're walking through and it's just two squiggly
Yeah.
tire tracks and it's just like, you're being conscious of how you walk or ride a bike or whatever. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is stupid. So we're just going to drive trucks through here.
No, and we've had folks who somehow managed to drive them on road trail.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you can come right up from the golf course.
Yeah.
Just drive right up.
Yeah.
Now there's a gate on
All-wheel drive.
the upper end on Bank side of it, which is good.
Well, yeah, he's done his deal up on that end. Last year he tossed
Yeah. I
a
remember.
pretty good sized piece of rock up there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a gate now on, right when you get onto the Yodel. Or the Yodel, yeah.
I had one question about the interpretive signs that I should go back to. The sign that was going to be on the view that looks from the big, I don't know what we call it, the view field. Yeah, that looks down the Wildcat Valley. Last month, Margaret added a final sentence about the Fan Brook cut being something you could see. When I was up there, you can't really see it unless you put the sign on the boulder at the bottom of the cut. So that was one point of discussion I saw, and it was whether we wanted to maintain the reference to the specific cut. That was
I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah, it
You know,
didn't-
in the scheme of things, who's gonna know?
where Fan Brook is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
Okay.
in a way, I like the idea of it only because it was something that I was upset about, and I was like, it was a big deal on the Danbrook cut for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But
I remember
It's
that.
happened.
time to let it go.
no, those are beautiful trees. I don't know if you ever saw the area. It was like nothing I've ever seen
Yeah.
for a hardwood forest. That was pretty special.
All right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Good work.
Thanks, everyone. That was wonderful.